What's up, everybody? How you doing? This is Rob Schwartz. I am here filling in for In Tune with wigglefist. What's up, guys?
How you guys doing?
So I have a question for you. So first of all, we have BJ and Teddy. So this is the most important question I've been wondering. Where did the name come from, wigglefist?
Oh, that's an interesting night, man. All right, after we were in our studio, we had decided been working on our music with the name Angle Attack in the previous, and we decided we were going to, we wanted to come up with something together. You know, it was going to come out of nowhere. So one night we were in our studio working on music, and we were commenting with a friend of ours on Facebook, and she replied back to one of our comments, and in the comment there was the word wigglefist, and so I'm reading this, and Teddy's like, wait a minute, what is this?
It got my attention. I was like, wait a minute,
what is this?
What the hell is this?
So I commented like, hold up, we may be changing our name, and so that stopped everything. We stopped music, we started Googling it, looking it up, fist pump came up, all this kind of stuff, and it was like, is this something that's never been done or said or used? And we just, that's it, done. And we kind of adopted the meaning of it. It's like, it's a positive physical reaction to a human emotion. Like, we're doing this right. Like, we just won, we made it. So that's kind of how we took on that name. And
that was kind of a difficult part of it, is because you're trying to find an identity, you know, and you don't want to come up with something that's either cheesy or overthought or just that's not relevant to what you're doing, whether it's your sound or your vibe or whatever. And that name just kind of, it was silly at first, but then we'd start to kind of take on that persona of, man, this could really mean something. Like, we identified it right away, like, okay, this is it. This is what we're going to go with.
Shortly thereafter, we kind of, the few months that followed, we kind of started witnessing people's reaction to, like, one, they had to know what it was. Just on a plane ride up here, he's getting, excuse me, what is wigglefist?
It draws interest, no doubt.
You cannot look at it like, you want to know what it is. Totally. So we were like, man, that's a instantly identifiable thing where you see it once, you're never gonna forget it. And if we come up with a cool logo, which that's what it turned out to be, the fist and the hat, you know, on the front of the hat, like, people just wanna know about it. So we decided that night, like, it's not only gonna be music, we want it to be a brandable, like, readily identifiable thing that people wanna wear, say, you know, just do it. So it kind of took on a life of its own automatically.
Yeah.
And we had to catch up to it.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
And here we are with the hats, the t-shirts, the rings, this, that, and the other. People are buying them just because they like the way it looks. I'm like, whoa, time out. We're music too.
Yeah.
You know, we do music.
We're
go
trying
check
to
out
draw
the
people
website.
to the music now, because everybody's locked onto the logo. You know.
But with the hopes of it is it'll all eventually tie back to the music.
Gotcha.
There'll be one and the others. They'll be completely synonymous, where it's a visible brand that people like to wear, but it also represents the music that we're doing and stuff. So that's really the cool thing about it. It came built in with a life.
Yeah.
So we just had to make it visible.
Oh, wow. So as a guitar player and DJ,
Yep.
R&B singer,
Yep.
how did you guys come together?
All right.
A lot of history there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had a mutual friend that was in our circle of friends in the South Louisiana, little town outside New Orleans, where we all grew up, that was listening to me talk about all this music constantly, and he knew him too. The same thing, same conversation. He's like, y'all need to meet, y'all got to get together, y'all need to do this. And so when we finally met each other, I paid attention to him kind of subliminally. He was doing the same to me because he also liked dance music and that kind of stuff too. So we did a few projects throughout the years, but he continued on his solo career, and I was still focusing on my name as DJ Mendoza, as a club rave DJ, that kind of thing. But when I finally moved away and wanted to still do this, I'm like, the only person that I've ever met or came across that I saw myself in was Teddy. So I'm like, if I'm gonna do this with somebody, I don't care if he's 1,000 miles away in New Orleans, I'm in Miami, we're making this work. I want him to be a part of this with me, and it's vice versa. So
yeah, and that was part of the transition too, as I had been working, doing R&B, soul, songwriting, co-producing some things, but I knew that I wanted to branch off and kind of evolve and morph into more of the production side of things, as opposed to just singing, songwriting, performing. And you know, my second love obviously would be the hip hop music and EDM genre, and I knew BJ was kind of doing his thing in the clubs and traveling and co-writing and producing some things, and I had kind of gotten burnt out on what I was doing in my solo career. So we just randomly linked up, I think, on the Touching the Sky single, you know, back in, was it like 99 or something? And we were young and trying to figure it out. I mean, we really didn't know where to even go with it. So it was like an experimental project. And that kind of launched us into the creative process of, man, we can like define our own sound. We can come up with something that fuses the hip hop, the EDM, the R&B, soul, gospel, whatever the influences and the subcultures were that we were really individually into our sound. And I mean, obviously we didn't have name recognition or brand recognition. I think at that time it was just, let's just try to figure this out. Let's do it together and see if we can come up with something that's unique and that we can kind of, you know, cling on to musically. So
that was really the difficult part, and I think that is for pretty much everybody, is figuring out what identifies you, what do you want to be recognized for and as, and we never really wanted to kind of pigeonhole ourselves into one particular thing, because we love so much different types of music, and you grow up in South Louisiana, it's in your blood. You can't get away from music, and especially music with soul. And I think nowadays, I'm not gonna say there's no soul in music, because it always is somebody's heart, but there's just something about music from that particular part of this country and the world is like, you feel it. And that's kind of what we want to continue to carry on, and no matter what type of music we do, it's not tracks, it's songs. It's not, you know, there's stories in what we're trying to say and sing and that kind of thing. And even with the sounds, it's like, I want to have sounds that resonate in people's body. Because that's how I feel when I hear something that just, you can't hear enough of it. It just resonates. So that's kind of what we had to dial in. And now that we've gotten to pretty much the bottom of the funnel where all these ideas are culminating together, we are kind of getting really specific on what we are going to do in the future and stuff like that. So it's a pretty exciting time that it's all coming to fruition.
So your sound, I'm hearing stories, I'm hearing all different types of vibes. What is it that makes, so when you come up with your sound, I'm sure you have different trials and errors because it's so vast what you're talking about, different ways. What is it that when you bring it together, you say this is what the project is going to be like?
I'll say it in a song lyric. The second line of the second verse of Bittersweet Symphony says, I need to hear some sounds that recognize the pain within me. So I start off with, I know how I feel right now, I know what mood I'm in, and I just start going through sounds or playing with my guitar, and when I finally have come across the one thing that resonates, it just takes one strike of a key. That's it. And it sets the tone for like, I know what I can do with this. And then when the project's kind of starting to come to development, that's where he comes in and decorates. And that's where he's brilliant at arranging this stuff.
Yeah, I'm more of a rhythmic guy. So like, you know, I key in on rhythms and bass lines and percussive elements. And if he's already laid down something, you know, with a synth or an arpeggio or some type of string section, I'm already dialed into the elements that need to be like the decorative pieces and the rhythm and the vibe of it. And so we may start off conceptualizing this progressive house track, and then before it's over with, it's turned into maybe something more trance or maybe more breakbeat or whatever, because we just let
soundtrack picture, you know.
We kind of let the music kind of dictate what we do. We don't dictate the music, and so we feed off a vibe more than we do scripted music and elements. We don't, we try to stay away from 4/4 stuff as much as possible. But if it's a 4/4, it's a 4/4. We're not gonna fight it, right? We try to go with the rhythm of what we're feeling in the studio. Or if he laid down something and he drop boxes it to me or sends it to me via file, a share, whatever, then I'm going to take it and run with it, because I kind of can feel, okay, I'll see where he was at, and then we communicate and kind of do our thing there. But that's kind of our vibe. I mean, that's kind of how our workflow, starts at least, and then there's some other processes involved in how we fine tune and dial in, the finishing touches.
The few tracks that we have done or completed, I should say, and the things that we have in progress that we have like actually started with being in the same room together, there is a little bit of a different dynamic than versus I'm in my room by myself, come up with this, and then I send it to him. So it's interesting to see how A versus B ends up turning out, so to speak. Irrelevance. I mean, that started off to be a hip hop track, and it would easily be in an action film specifically for that. Wow. I didn't think of that at first, but it was like, holy God, okay, what door did we just open, kind of thing. So, and that's why we're kind of like, well, let's try to do the video game thing and the soundtrack thing along with the hip hop, flavor and the EDM stuff. Just try everything to see what really grabs people's attention about us, makes them pay attention to what is within us, and let that lead the way.
Yeah, so we're careful not to box ourselves into a genre, because I mean, yes, you can, and people want cohesiveness and consistency with genre. We understand that. That's the business side of it. But creatively, you're limiting yourself to what you can and should be doing artistically. So if you know that you want to broaden your reach and do what needs to reach the public as a whole, just go with it. That's our vision for what we do. Is we're not going to call ourselves hip hop artists or trance or house producers. Yeah, if we make predominantly one genre, so be it. But we're going to continue that same creative process that doesn't pigeonhole us to doing one specific type of thing.
It seems to be working, and it does keep it very enjoyable to continue doing.
Gotcha.
Because I think even if you do the same thing for so long, one, you get complacent. Then you kind of like let up on the intensity that you want to put into each track. So if you keep changing it up, it keeps your mind fresh with these awesome imagination and creative ideas.
I believe so.
That's awesome. Well, guess what? We'll be right back. We are here in tune with wigglefist. We got a lot more to ask you guys.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All
See
right,
you in a
we'll be
second.
right back.
Right.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Rob Schwartz in the place to be. We're back with In Tune with Wigglefist, BJ, and Teddy. So we just heard those songs. That's some pretty good stuff, man.
Thanks, bro.
So let's break it down. Track one. Tell me about track one.
All right, that track's Irrelevance, and that's the one that kind of started off with this hip hop, intensity to it, with a sampling of a famous hip hop star. But it quickly turned into something that people kept saying, I can hear this in a movie, like an action film. So we kind of let that dictate the ending of it to where it does feel like they just robbed the bank, they're in the getaway, and then they're riding off to the sun's counting their money, like, peace, we made it kind of thing. So that kind of opened that door to thinking like we can create that kind of stuff for movies and be specific with it. The second track we just finished, Insidious, is along those same lines to where it's just there's a suspense built into the sounds, like gritty, dirty, but you just want to keep driving, like whether you're working out or doing whatever, you just want to keep punching through walls. Kind of what
that
we're
inspiration came from like the John Wick series, like we had talked about
Exactly.
earlier. Things that Legendary Films puts out in the John Wick series, we were really inspired by the soundtrack. So we actually tracked down a couple of the guys that produced those songs, and we had some correspondence, and it just inspired us to make something that was very unique to that
It's a whole
specific
other world.
platform. Yeah,
It really is a whole other world and
really
another platform of credibility. So we're going to continue to knock on that door. The third track, Pressed, was actually the first thing that we put out, and I actually called it Pressed because I gave myself like November 1st, that thing's done by November 30th. I'm pressed to do this because I wanted to get a track done to where I can launch the website, have a song on there with the brand, and really have everything. So if somebody starts looking at this, it's not like, well, y'all musicians, but where's y'all's songs? Y'all are musicians, but where's y'all's look? I had to have that done. So I gave myself that deadline.
Crash course.
And Pressed kind of, it belongs on a big, it's an energetic dance track, with a little bit of, Armin van Buuren influences and that kind of stuff, into it. The third and the fourth tracks are, timeless in place for me, that introduced Teddy as the voice of Wigglefist. And that goes along the lines of like, you know, we are from the South. We come from soul music. So we figured if we're gonna sing and have stories in our songs, let's sing it with resonance in the voice to where like you hear him say and inflect certain words, I'm getting goosebumps now.
Yeah, we wanted to create a vocal track that got away from the windmill of vocal tracks that we're used to hearing. And so to us, infusing a little bit of R&B and soul kind of vibe into the EDM-based genre, it was just a perfect combination for us because we have that ability vocally and production-wise and just the way we envision our music. And so, you know, now we're branching off and we have thoughts about, you know, incorporating more female vocal-based tracks, and we're working on some other projects where we may reach out to some other male vocalists and some other singers out there that suit the track properly, because, you know, you hear tonal qualities in certain vocals and certain voices that, man, that'll be perfect for that track. And so that's kind of where we're at now. We're already kind of projecting and thinking ahead for the next 2 and 3 tracks that we're working on right now in the studio. So that's what's coming at
really,
least.
The next thing we really want to do is we've got an idea down that we're just about ready to start shopping for a female vocalist with like a edgy rock kind of vibe that is going to be, this track's going to be specifically about female empowerment. You know what I mean? Because that's the talk of today. And I mean, women are, you know, just as equal as us, that kind of thing. So let's give them the power and let's let somebody sing about it and point that out to a track that we make. So I'm actually really excited about it because what we've come up with musically is just badass.
It's a Stevie Nicks meets EDM kind of moment. Is kind of what this next track's going to be about. Yeah, it's going to be nice.
I mean, because she in the '70s, I mean, she pretty much empowered everybody, to include my mother. So we are excited about that one. That's gonna be the next one from wigglefist. So stay tuned.
We still have track 4, right? We talked about 1, 2, and 3.
Well, I kind of so 4 and 5 are placed for me in Timeless.
Yeah,
and
those
if you
are
really
fairly
if you want to go to the
similar.
website, they're up there, and we've actually just did a video for Place for Me that's actually being pretty well reviewed on
it's got
YouTube based
some
on the
good
comments and
feedback on it
stuff.
so far.
So if you really want to hear what his ability is to sing from the soul vibe that we're talking about, that's the best. You know, that's the best 2 that will tell you.
It's a good test right
and
there.
show you.
And those tracks were based on the fact that we were trying to find that balance between the new wave of big room EDM and also vocal elements of popular R&B, soul-based music, you know, because it's a perfect blend of what we try to encapsulate in all of our music when it comes to production and blending in the vocal elements and things of that nature. So it came across the way we kind of wanted it to.
With the ease of computer software and just the ability to make music and allow many people to put out tracks and stuff, there is this, I don't want to say sterileness that comes from it, but there is a lot of times like, all right, a computer's doing this, and that's fine. I would still like to hold on to, you know, playing instruments and people actually making the music, where when you listen to it, you kind of feel that there's a person doing it. There's a human element to it. And that's really what's important to me, Teddy, and hopefully a lot of producers. Like, you really want to make somebody feel what you feel, because that's what your art is.
Yeah, and it's okay for some music to be imperfect. I mean, you know, not everything can fit a mold and a windmill, you know, where you spitting out perfection. I mean, there's some things that just sound better organically, you know, when it comes across a microphone.
Well, that's the magic of music right there.
It just does to us. So that's where we try to keep it.
Did you play live guitar? That was live guitars?
Yeah, that's really what, you know, the saxophone, the guitar is really what I cut my teeth on from pretty much 4 years old. Bad to the Bone and More Than a Feeling, those 2 tracks. I mean, I listen to More Than a Feeling every day. I mean, every day. On the way to work, every day. And it's like, haven't you heard it enough? No. You know, but that's what got me. It's just that feeling it gave me. And when I learned how to play the guitar, I'm like, I don't need to sing. I can speak with this. You know, it was just, and you can watch how people react to doing something crazy or such a good technical ability. You know, you vibe on that. So yeah, that's kind of what got me to really want to stay true to my roots, if you will. And that's why he wants to sing the way he does, because I mean, Michael Jackson, you know, I got him at an early age.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I had a lot of influences that most people wouldn't assume, because I mean, I grew up on gospel music. You know, when I was a young kid, you know, we weren't even allowed to listen to secular music. So it was like, hide my Lionel Richie tapes under my mattress. You know what I'm saying? I had my Sony Walkman, man, and I had my Lionel Richie and my Commodores and stuff under the mattress.
God forbid they found the NWA tape.
And so, I mean, once I was exposed to just soul music and R&B music, it was over with. I mean, that was it for me. And so that's where I just steeped everything in just the sounds, and even, you know, the rhythmic elements of, you know, the culturally diverse music from the islands and things that would infuse in some of this dance music. Even back then, and you start thinking about, you know, Roger Zapp and all these guys. I mean, it was funk with R&B, soul. I mean, it was my music, you know, and so I didn't really understand a lot about rock and roll and the things that, you know, I didn't expose myself to until later in life, but
Yeah.
you know, to bring all those influences together with BJ's influences, I mean, that's what brought about wigglefist. I mean, it's a perfect infusion of everything we've been exposed to, you know, over the years. So that's how it came about, really.
It was just a perfect timing too. Timing is a huge thing, I think, in any development of two artists that want to form a group. Because if we tried to do this 10 years ago,
it wouldn't have went.
It may have come up to something, but it wouldn't.
Yeah, we were not in that
and
place.
we wouldn't be holding on to it. Like, I mean, this is my child. I am gonna raise this to a full-grown adult until I'm dead. So, that's what I'm gonna leave behind.
And what a better place than like Louisiana, where it's just a melting pot of music.
It is,
to
man.
have the melting pot of all these different sounds.
New Orleans is one of those towns where you really just cannot step foot on those streets and not feel a vibe. And you're surrounded by music. And there's a lot of cities out there, but New Orleans is one of those towns where it's just big enough to be a city, but it's still so it's personal.
Yeah.
And you really gets into your blood. And the people that pay attention to it really become some great musicians, and I think some of the world's greatest musicians are in that town that haven't been discovered yet. They're just doing their thing and loving it on the street corner.
Even the venues are so intimate there, and places like New Orleans, there's some other places, even Memphis. I've been down some places in Memphis, Beale Street and all that.
Yeah, Memphis is nice.
Man, it's just a vibe and the energy that you can't really replicate in auditoriums or even in studio environments. I mean, you go into just a little ratty, hole-in-the-wall blues club, and you walk out of there changed. Like you experienced a moment that was like, man, that was the most awesome thing I've ever seen, or since the last time, really. Wow. And it's a very influential city, and like BJ said, I mean, there's street musicians that will blow your mind. Any given day, you're walking through the quarter, or you're walking through Jackson Square, and it's just amazing because you see such, like you say, a melting pot of blues, zydeco, R&B, hip hop artists, street artists, you know, people doing breakdancing routines. I mean, it's just amazing.
I mean even like my biggest influence and what I take from the most that I learned from is Trent Reznor of 9 Inch Nails. He moved to New Orleans and lived there for the longest time because of that, what we just talked about. And to latch on to him and what he specifically does sonically is where my brain goes immediately with just playing with the listener's ears, you know, in their head. And he's the master at it. So that's kind of where I lean to for the most part. But that's why he went there, because it's just such a influential, you know.
Yeah, if you can't get inspired musically or artistically in New Orleans, then you need to check your pulse.
You ain't got it.
You need to check your pulse.
Wow. So you're still there?
Yes.
And you're in Miami?
Yep.
So that's got to be a little bit difficult working together, or does it make it actually better?
It has its challenges. It definitely does. I mean, it all goes back to the hustle and the grind. How bad do you want it?
How bad do you want it?
How bad do you want to make it happen? I mean, you know, you can use every excuse in the book of why this manager never called me back, why this radio station won't play my stuff, why my sound ain't quite right, whatever. But what are you going to do about it? So with us, I mean, the distance thing, it can be a challenge, and our jobs and the things that we do in our personal lives, I mean, we have full lives. Technology, thank you. You know, I mean, it works wonders for us because we figure out a way to make our system work for us. And not everybody's in that situation, or not everybody knows how to make it cohesive and consistent where there is progress. They're not getting bogged down by the distance or the gaps.
Some people would maybe look at it as maybe a setback or a huge like problem to work through. I kind of see it as a strength, because when I know we nail down a date, or I'm coming back to town August 1st, I'm there till the 7th. The week before, I don't sleep because I know he's coming to town. I'm excited. Like we're ready to do this. So we set ourselves up 1 week per quarter for 6 days. We're locked away. It's our world. Nobody's invited. This is us. And so we make that time so precious to make the most of it. Yeah. So that's what works for it, and as far as the distance is concerned.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we'll be right back. Tune in, Wigglefist. I got a couple more questions for you guys.
All right. All right.
I will be right back.
Okay, a second.
Easy way? charge.
Add us on social media to watch bloopers, behind-the-scenes footage, previews, and more.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rostelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
RVN TV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVN TV shows monthly. We guarantee a great experience that you'll be sharing with everyone you know while increasing your personal and company's brand awareness. But what is your brand? According to Forbes, it's a combination of your logo, your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly,
Dude, that was great, man. I learned a lot about you guys. Wigglefist, man. So how do people get in touch with you guys?
If you want to contact us directly, the best place is wigglefist.com. Simple to navigate. Just go to the connect button. You can send us an email in regards to working with us, what we're doing, that kind of thing. Follow us on all the social media platforms across the spectrum. You can find us really easy: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and whatnot. Please, check out the website, the shop, the hats, the brand. We've got a lot of exciting things. Bikini lines coming up for next spring.
Get your merch.
We're going to continue developing products and stuff like that. But really, the hats, the t-shirts. Check them out, and if you buy one, hashtag wigglefist for us.
Absolutely.
And help
Don't
us spread the
forget to
word.
hashtag it.
But
We'll
greatly
put you on the fan
appreciate
page.
any time you guys give us. So thank you very much. Thank you, Rob, for having us, man. Great
Oh,
to
yeah,
be
absolutely.
here.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
And real quick, what's next?
what's next is the female empowerment track. We haven't really named it yet, but that one is going to be, I think that one's going to be another blowing the doors off the hinges as far as from a musical standpoint and the message of that track, that the song, the lyrics that Teddy has come up with. But
that is, and we also have a little bit of a collaborative effort that we're working on to submit for some film and television projects that we've been asked to kind of, dibble in. So we're going to try to get some placement there. Mm-hmm. And, that's a little bit off the beating path of what we normally do as far as label type releases and submissions, but it's sort of a pet project of ours. Now we're going to try to get, placement on film and television with these tracks. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll continue developing the brand, from a visibility standpoint, and then hopefully by the end of this year, there'll be enough music released and out there available to give everyone a real good sense of what we can do. Awesome. And that'll dictate where we go from there. So
perfect.
That's it.
Well, BJ, Teddy, thanks for coming by. Wigglefist,
Thanks, man.
make sure you
Thanks
guys
for having
support.
us.
Make sure you guys buy some merch. You got some
Check
cool
it
jewelry
out.
too, stuff like that. And I'm Rob Schwartz, filling in for Tune In. That's the deal. Yeah.
Peace.